Imagine living in healthy relationships, with greater acceptance among you, without fights over forgetfulness, poor communication, or lack of organization. You can learn all of this in the club. ADHD in Action, the toolbox for ADHD. Check it out in the first link in the description.
And when your child turns to you, after several failures, after having repeated a grade and faced various difficulties at school, turns to you and says, "Mom, I don't want to study anymore." Do you panic? Do you think you should force him? I'm going to explain why. But before I start, please don't forget to like this video. Before you forget, click on the bell icon, share this video with everyone, and at the end, I want you to comment down below what you thought. All right, besides following me on social media like Instagram, which the card should be around here for you to click on, and there I am connecting with you daily. All right, let's go. This situation is indeed usually quite frequently encountered. I myself went through this, but I don't think I ever reached that extreme point because I never repeated a grade. I had private tutoring with a lot of sacrifice because my mom, she comes from a middle-class banking background. Today, she is retired, but back then, I know that if she earned about 10% less, I wouldn't have access to all of this. I wouldn't have access to private tutor. We would sometimes have our phone cut off. We had to choose what bills to pay. But I remember my mom never let me go without my private lessons that saved my life. Especially at the final stretch of school. But what of those who don't have access and who really ends up succumbing to the statistics of ADHD? And suddenly they end up failing or dropping out of school, or even that kid for whom you pay for a private tutor and you do everything, but he just can't seem to develop. He's a child, a very intelligent young person. He has a knack and skills for other things. It can even be considered as gifted abilities. But when it comes time to open a history book or when you have to do a math exercise, whatever it is, the kid just isn't performing and you don't know what else to do. Recently, in a mentoring session I held here in Brasilia, I came across a case like that. It was a boy who had missed about 2 years of school. To wrap up, he was in high school, but he was already behind. He was already having a lot of difficulty with this issue of failing. He couldn't engage. His mom had already changed his school several times, and it was a pretty complicated situation. Of course, before you make a decision, radical, let's put it this way, and I wouldn't even call it radical. It would be a non-trivial decision when ADHD doesn't fit into the triviality. But before making a non-trivial decision, we try everything. Because the mom and dad are usually dealing with judgment. What will the family think? Considered if I remove this boy from school, the friends will talk. My mom, who is the boy's grandmother, will usually want to chime in. At that moment, everyone shows up, but when it comes to actually taking care of things, when it's time to lead, everyone disappears. It's easy to criticize. Just a quick aside here, okay? But this usually happens. So what's your decision? What I tell you is this: ADHD does not lead a trivial life. I don't lead a trivial life. I went through the triviality, meaning I went down the orthodox path. I graduated, I went to college, but it was really tough. Getting through school was a sacrifice for me. Getting into university took 4 years of studying, 4 years of prep school, pretending I was studying because in practice, I really wasn't like I should have been. And today I can recognize that, but this is very difficult for families who are facing it right now. It's easy to talk about it now that I've been through it. And at that moment, how was it? Besides that, after taking 4 years to get into the University of Brasilia, that was my dream back then. It took me another 8 years to graduate. It was 12 years of suffering, which served a purpose because now I can be here talking to you about it. But my point is this: if ADHD doesn't fit well with the path of triviality, why are you going to force him to have triviality? I don't want to encourage you to do anything. I'm not here saying whether you should or shouldn't do it. The decision is always sovereign. Yours from the parents, okay? I'm speaking now to the parents of minors. Whether it's a child or a teenager, this decision has to be yours, but it needs to be a courageous decision. After realizing in that case that we had tried everything, the parents had already tried everything, and sometimes the mother needed to hear it from me, from my mouth, like, okay, then take him out of school. Have him do his supplementary education, put him in a course that he wants. I remember that every time in my life that I followed my intuition, that I didn't pay attention to what my dad said, that I didn't pay attention to what my mom said, for the opinion of my friends and followed my intuition, my heart, I did well. So I did this a few years ago, which wasn't beneficial. Taking responsibility and accepting consequences changed my life. And it was something I did, something I used to do a few years ago that wasn't good for my life. But from the moment I took on my self-responsibility, accepted the consequences of my actions, and moved towards what I believed in, I was only successful because deep down we know what we have to do. It's just that sometimes we lack courage. Sometimes we need that right person to give us the push to make the decision we've wanted to make for a long time. So, I say this, if you're facing a chaotic situation with your child, if you know you've changed schools for them several times and they really don't adapt at all, you've put them in the most inclusive school, in the least inclusive one, and you feel that he's a smart boy or she's a smart girl and that they need to follow a different path, do it. If you want advice, just do it. Do it. If you want advice, just do it. The decision is always yours. But do it with your eyes closed, following your heart, with peace in your decision. But don't forget to make a decision that only you and the others can make. Well, others are others, and let them say whatever they want. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know more about ADHD, have exclusive weekly classes with powerful content that can transform your life, sign up for the ADHD in Action Club. The link is here in the card or here in the video description as well. Don't forget to follow, comment down below. We're almost at the end. Share this video and I'll see you in the next one. Share this video and I'll see you in the next one. So, thanks. See you later. Bye-bye.
Many times you find yourself pretending to be someone you're not just to avoid feeling out of place in conversations. Isn't that right? This can be the impact of ADHD, referred to as the inauthentic self. Learn to identify and change this game with the method I created and use every day. Check it out in the first link in the description.